Where do you buy tax lien certificates? Well, there are some great states to buy them in, and to me, the top three, Arizona, Illinois, and Iowa, to me are the best three. And why is that? Because the interest rate in Arizona is 18%, the interest rate in Iowa is 24%, and the interest rate in Illinois is up to 36%. Pretty good, right? So those are my top three states. So let's talk more about, why would you buy these things and what's involved with it. Well, you buy them because it's a good financial investment. It's not one where you're going to be generally getting real estate. It's going to be one where you're going to be getting very high rates of return on your invested capital. And when you talk about rates from 18 to 36% in the three states that I just mentioned, that's really good money. So what's involved? Well, what you're going to be doing is you're first getting a list of upcoming tax lien sales from the taxing authorities. So they're done county by county. So just go and pick your county and state, such and such county, Illinois, tax lien sale. And what'll happen is you'll get, because Google is very smart, you'll get to the website with information about upcoming tax lien sales, and the lists are free. They don't charge anything for the lists. They're available online, and you can start looking through the lists. So the question is, well, what do you look at? So what you're looking for is liens that are against really good properties. And why is that? Because the lien is ultimately going to be paid either because the property owner pays the lien plus the interest and penalties, or they're not going to pay it. And then in most states, what they're going to do is auction off the property. In some states, they're going to give you the property. Like for example, in Illinois, they'll just give you the property. But you want to make sure that you're getting a property that either a third-party bidder is going to find attractive, so they're going to bid on it, or that you're going to get when they don't pay the taxes. So what you don't want is to buy a lien against, say, a useless strip of property. Sometimes what happens is that a surveyor just makes a mistake. Maybe they lay out a property or they lay out a development in a subdivision on a cul-de-sac, and they just make a mistake and they leave a little gap. So instead of just like these pie-shaped lots going at the end of the cul-de-sac, there's just a gap somewhere. What happens when there's a gap like that is there are still taxes assessed against that land, and that tax bill is going to go unpaid. And if you're the unlucky, unknowledgeable person that buys that little strip of useless land, it's not worth anything. Nobody's going to pay the taxes. If you're given that land, you don't want it because then you don't want to pay the taxes on it. So you just need to make sure that it's supported by a good property. So what would good mean to me? Well, it would mean, first of all, that it's got an improvement on it, meaning that it's got a structure, a house, a building, a parking lot, something that makes it valuable. Because sometimes properties that aren't built because they're not useful. And I'll just give you an example. The first property I bought way back in 1989 actually had a problem, and I just didn't know enough at the time. Thankfully, I got out of this thing, but boy, was it hard. So I bought this property, and it was 48 feet wide. And it turned out that the minimum width for building was 50 feet wide. And I didn't realize you can't just could you just cut me a break? No, you have to actually go and apply for a variance in order to be given permission to build. And there's no guarantee that happens, and it takes money and time to do that. So I was a young guy at the time. I didn't know what I was doing. I bought this property for $3,000 in a really nice neighborhood. I thought, this is amazing. I ended up having to get a variance to be able to build on it. Still made money on it, made some really good money. But if I knew then what I know now, I wouldn't have bought that property. I would have picked something different. So one of the ways that you can know if something's buildable is something's already built on it, right? If it's got a structure on it, you know that it can have a structure. The structure is grandfathered in. You've got power, you've got water, you've got sewer, you know all those things. That's way more likely that they're going to pay off the tax lien as long as there's a building on it. If it's an occupied building, even better yet. Occupied building, almost 100% chance they're going to pay off those taxes. And if they don't pay off the taxes, if you're in, say, Illinois, they're just going to give you the land, which is fantastic. Or like they do in other states, they'll put the property up for a tax deed auction. And there, because it's a nice property, someone's going to pay good money for it. And most importantly, you as the holder of the tax lien are more likely to be paid off. So number one thing to check for is that it's a good property that can truly support the money that you're putting up to buy the tax lien, because you want them to pay off those taxes. That's number one. Second thing that's sort of an indicator of whether the taxes are actually going to get paid or not is if it's occupied or if it's vacant. If it's a vacant property, there's less chance of the taxes being paid off. Now, they still may be paid off, but that's just less chance. If it's occupied, then a very good chance that the taxes are going to be paid off. So that's another thing you look at. So you look at all those things and then you go forward. With the tax lien business, you're going to find that in some places it's extremely competitive, in other places it's not. So what you want to do is check out some of the auctions and just get a feel for it. When you go to the auction, are there 100 people fighting over every lien? In some places like Florida, for example, it's like that. And in Florida, they run their liens in a kind of a funny way. They do what's called a bid down process, where it starts out at a high interest rate and then you bid it down until it goes to 0.5%. And when the interest rate is at 0.5%, whoever is the bidder that put in that bid for the lowest interest rate, they get the lien. And then through some machinations, it ends up that you actually get a 5% return because that's the minimum floor. But the person that's bidding in 0.5% is the one that bids. And it's so competitive that that's actually a race to try to be the winner of the auction. So it's super competitive there, but in lots of other places, not at all competitive. And generally, you're going to find that the more rural, the less proximate to New York, the less proximate direct flights from New York, the better off it is for you as a buyer. Because there are a lot of very large investors like hedge funds and things like that that are buying tax liens as an investment because they're good investments, but they tend to really overwhelm the markets that are big markets, that are direct flights from New York. They tend to overwhelm those. But if you're kind of operating in the smaller counties, a little bit out of the way, you can get some really great deals and super high interest rates. Like I said, 18 to 36%. These things are available in about half the country. So half the country, they just do tax deed sales where they just sell the property. The other half sells tax liens where you get interest rates and occasionally the property, but usually not. So you just want to check that out and get educated on this business because there's lots of tricks to it, lots of traps, but also lots of opportunity. So you want to educate yourself. And one of the best ways to start with that, I have a good friend of mine who's been doing this since the mid-1990s. He buys tax liens all across the country. He buys properties that are exposed to tax sale. Really, really great investor. Good friend, really knows what he's talking about. I did a YouTube video with him, I don't know, just recently, within the past couple months, and he really went in depth on what he does and how it works. So you should definitely check that out. It's only a 20-minute video, very short. What I'll do is I'll have my editor just, if you can, editor, just put a link to the video up above my shoulder. If you see it, great. If you don't see it, it probably just means your browser doesn't support it. Then just look below this video. There's a link to that video. It's my interview with Tony. Just go watch that because that'll get you really good grounding. And if you want someone to educate you on this business, there's no one better than Tony. He's the guy that I would follow. I followed his system and I got this property you see up there for $275. Really, the whole property, free and clear of any mortgages for $275 using exactly the methods that Tony teaches and shows you how to do and that his students implement all across the country. I was recently speaking at one of his conferences and we had something like 400 people in the room, and I can tell you there were raving fans of Tony. He's like a rock star when he walked in because he's a really just good human being, really knows his stuff, and since he's been doing this business since the 1990s, really knows how to teach it, knows how to help you know it. So definitely go check that out. It's a free video. Again, link is down below. And if you're interested in tax sales and tax liens and tax deeds, definitely subscribe to my channel. Those are the topics I'm talking about. That plus overages, which is a related business that I do. Definitely subscribe. And if you like this video, please like it. It helps me know what you like and what I should do more of. And any comments, put them down below and we'll try to get to them as we can. But definitely subscribe to the channel because what I'm here to do is to share really good, actionable information with you on tax liens, tax deeds, overages, real estate, and entrepreneurship in general. Been an entrepreneur since 2005. I've been an attorney doing real estate since 1995. And I started investing in real estate in 1989. So I go way back in this. I'd love to share all that I know with you so that you can go forward and be successful. Because one of the things that I find in life, there's too small an amount of really high quality, actionable information, and I can't stand it. I want you to be able to do things correctly, to do things safely, and just make money, have a good life. If you're willing to take on the job of being an entrepreneur, I want you to be successful. So I'm going to share the best of what I know with you, and that's what I do on this channel. So thanks for joining me today. This is attorney and investor Bob Diamond. I will see you next time.